Are you done with your expletives yet?
I'm finished.
Oh, welcome to Progressive Soup. My name is David Stevenson. I'll be tonight's host. With us tonight, we have Rich Frascone.
Nice Italian.
Now, Rich, you're involved in a political group that I am, and I didn't see you a long time ago. You sort of came on the scene in recent months.
That's right.
What brought you to where you are now politically?
Well, see, first of all, I don't like to use the word political because I try to stay away from the fray.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Excellent.
But what brought me here was Fox TV. And one day, I don't know if it was one day, if it was a series of days or a specific instance, but I went to school up in Boston. I went to Graham Junior College. My major was TV production.
Okay.
And one day, we were getting ready to do a fake national broadcast. And actually, the guy that was doing the broadcasting, later on he was the valedictorian from our school, all right? And he later became a big hit on Nickelodeon. His name is Mark Berkowitz.
Mark Berkowitz.
Most people know him as Mark Summers. He's the guy that puts the green goop on you and everything.
Oh, on Nickelodeon. My kids watched that.
Right. Well, I went to school with him. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, one day before we were getting ready to do the national TV, which was broadcast to the college. But this was during the time that Nixon got caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
The Watergate issue.
So the Watergate scandal was breaking and he's getting ready, and I'm reading the copy that he's going to read. And I said to him, Mark, why don't get rid of this copy? Why don't you just say exactly what happened? The guy's a prick. He got his hand caught in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of him.
Careful with the words. You've got to use the word proc.
Okay.
Because proc is acceptable. Proc is not one of those words that you can't use on television.
All right.
Listen up, kids. You're going to learn a lot of words that sound like bad words that are not bad words.
That was a
proc.
Okay, so it was a proc. A proc. Okay. But anyway, he said, Rich, before I can read anything on the air, I have to have two verifiable sources to confirm that what I'm telling the people is verifiable. And I looked at him and I said, you're a jerk. I didn't
Jerk's
say
allowable,
that.
by the way, kids. Go ahead, yeah.
But then I said, why don't you just tell the people the truth? So then I started watching Fox TV, and every time I watch Fox TV, the first thing I say is, the first thing you have to have is two sources of verifiable. Because the stuff, they just make stuff up, and it makes me crazy.
Well, they don't call it, if I may use, instead of an Italian word, I'm going to use a French word, faux news, because it's fake. Well, and as you say, I hear you. They make it up as they go along, don't they?
Well, for me, Fox, the words Fox and news don't go together in the same sentence. I mean, really. I mean, and if you watch, and I watch them in the morning, and it's almost like I'm compelled to watch them because I want to get the Republican bullcrap for the day. So this way I get the talking points for the day.
You're close.
And then when you watch Fox, it's like they pass a baton, like they're running a relay race.
Yeah.
What's the talking points for the day? Uncertainty. Okay. And then they'll go with Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck's not with them anymore.
And they pass the baton.
And it just goes, and it doesn't end. And what gets me is the poor people that are sitting there watching it and being hosed. Because like a typical statement from Fox would be, is the president a Muslim? No, I'm not saying it. We're just asking the question. And the poor schmuck that's sitting home goes, I don't know, is the president a Muslim? And then he goes to the job site and somebody says, I think the president's a Muslim. Yeah, you know, I think I heard that.
I heard that on Fox News too.
And then you say, and you go, you got to be kidding me. So this
I'm
is
going to break in right now because we have got some footage of this guy talking to a crowd of people.
But wait, before we do that,
Okay,
let me just premise
They're
that.
queuing it up. Go ahead.
All right, because you know, even though you know I've got a beef with Fox, what happened is when I started to look into things, and the unfortunate thing is I have extra time.
Yeah.
Because the construction and what I do for a living is I install central vacs.
Yeah.
So what I do depends on how much is being built. If there's no new houses being built, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
That's a big part of my business.
Because it's hard to retrofit houses with central vacs, I imagine.
Well, it can be done, but it's a bitch. Yeah, it's tough.
Hold on, I got to get my magic bowls on again. Okay, are you ready for for Rich Frascone? Let's roll, Rich.
Roll it. I can't hear nothing. I don't see anybody with two hands up. Everybody must be pretty good.
Holding food and money.
All right. What's wrong with the American economy? We're broke, right?
Nope.
Right. You're right, we're not broke.
No, we're not.
What's the problem? Why are we broke? The reason why we're broke is because the American people are being robbed blind. And the problem is, we don't even know who's robbing us. Huh? It's simple. We're being held hostage by the compounding interest on our national debt. We are becoming slaves and held captive by our monetary system. This is no mistake. In fact, the system was designed to keep us broke. Let me explain. How many people here have a credit card? If you have a credit card, raise your hand. One credit card?
Nope. Yep.
How many people have two credit cards? Two credit, put your hand, come on. Come on.
Feel like I'm being robbed?
How many people have three credit cards?
Wait. I cannot have.
No, come on.
It's not fair.
Now this is when it gets fun. How many
People have no credit card.
How many people have no credit cards?
Bragger.
there you go. That's what you want.
Yep. I told them to go to hell a long time ago.
That's what you should.
All right.
Yep.
All right, now when you go to pay your credit card account, does it seem like you never get anywhere? You pay $100 on your account and your balance goes down by $10. You just can't seem to get ahead. And it always feels like you're fighting a losing battle. Am I right?
Yes.
Why is that? Reason is because the bank is killing us with interest payments. Interest payments are what keeps you a slave, and the bank wants to keep it that way. The banks want you to bust your balls and work your ass off so they can sit back in their easy chairs and count how much money they're stealing from you. The bankers want to get you on this endless cycle where they can exploit you, take advantage of you, and rob you. And what really sucks is they do this legally. Now, believe it or not, the banks do exactly the same thing to the government as they do to us. That's right, the government gets hammered with interest payments required by the banks just like we do. Why is that? Because the Federal Reserve has got the country by the balls, and believe me, they ain't letting go. They're making money hand over fist, and they could care less if you like it or not. It's the interest that's killing us. As a matter of fact, in 2010, the government paid $164 billion in interest payment on our national debt. Let me say that again. $164 billion on interest.
How much was that? And that's a bargain.
Now, that interest could have paid $47.5 billion for housing and urban development, that interest could have paid $46.7 billion for the Department of Education, $26.3 billion for the Department of Energy, $18.7 billion for NASA, $13.8 billion for the Department of Commerce, $13.3 billion for the Department of Labor, and we'd still have enough money left over to take the whole country out to dinner and a movie.
I'm for that.
That's right. All of these services combined could be completely paid for with the money that we're pissing away just to pay on the interest on our debt. Isn't this the craziest thing you ever heard of? If we could eliminate the interest on our debt, most of our problems would...
You know, I'm going to get my credit cards out right now and cut them up. You know, goodness, that's a local bank. This one's from a local bank, folks. We keep it. If it were from a large bank, we would be cutting it up right this minute.
That's right.
So what is it with banks? You talk a lot about banks, and I know we've been involved in some get-togethers where we stood outside of one of the national mega banks and tried to divert attention and, more importantly, divert money away from those large corporate mega banks and have people put the money in local banks. Though our friend John, who's in the studio with us tonight, he took his money out of one of those mega banks on Main Street in Danbury for no other reason, because he and I went inside to say hello to them. They had to get together. We said hello to them and have a sandwich and chat it up a little bit. And they threatened to have us arrested because friends of ours happened to be outside leafleting and handing out information about large banks. What is with that?
The problem is, you know, you would think that after a while these guys would learn their lesson. Mm-hmm. You'd think they'd want to try. The Wall Street's turned into such a casino with the stuff that they're coming up with, these convertible debentures. What the hell is that? I mean, try to explain that to me. You know, what have they done with these mortgages? They bundled them together.
He said shell game.
They bundled them together. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
And he said shell game again. And
the problem is, they never thought that the housing bubble would ever burst. Mm-hmm. They thought the music would keep playing. Yeah. And the problem is, it's like a game of musical chairs.
And Ben Bernanke was leading the chorus.
There you go. And listen, I don't have a personal beef with him, but the thing is, the scam that these guys got going with the Federal Reserve, I mean, this is ludicrous. Why in the world would we want to borrow money when we have the sovereign right to print our own money? It's the one thing we can do as a country. So if we print our own money, we stop paying the banks a VIG, and we pay the VIG to the people that live here, to the Americans. That $164 billion that I talked about is not a joke. It's real money.
And what $164 billion could do?
That's just on the interest. And believe me, and there's so much more. But, you know, and that money could be used to benefit the average people in so many different ways.
And a quick shout out, by the way, to James Root, who's been on the show talking about these exact same issues. But it's good to have you coming on and elaborating on it in a little bit more colorful way.
Well, it's, you know, because the thing is, I feel I have an obligation to make people aware. Mm-hmm. It's almost, but the problem is, I don't want to be standing out there shooting up a flare gun. Mm-hmm. You know, like on the Titanic, and everybody's looking around going, oh, they must be throwing a party on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mighty expensive party on the taxpayer's dollar.
Exactly.
Now, I guess the root of what you're getting at, no pun intended, James, the root of what you're getting at is that we, rather than have this Federal Reserve that we hear so much about, rather than paying them to borrow money, which is our money,
right?
Because all that happens is
it's crazy.
They take our money And they lend it back to us.
And they charge us interest.
And they get as you say, and for those of Italians in the audience, they get a vig.
They get a vig, just like these guys make loan sharks look like Girl Scouts. I mean, it's a shame.
No disrespect meant for Girl Scouts either, my friends. Loan sharks, yes.
And how this is allowed to continue is beyond me. So here I am. I'm telling people. Now you've heard it. Now you just got to go out and tell other people.
Yeah.
And finally, when enough people say, "You got to be kidding me," because when I first started to look this up, and people might have doubts as to how correct I might be, and I invite people to go on the web. Mm-hmm. Go to Media Matters, go to Mediaite, go to the Huffington Post. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can Google anything and get the answers.
And fact check them too, kids.
There you go.
Fact check everybody. Come to your own conclusions. Don't take anybody's word for it.
Well, that's why when Glenn Beck, I used to sit there and I'd watch him and I go, "This guy's crazy. Don't trust what I say. Go look it up." I said, "Glenn, if people look it up, you're not going to have an audience left anymore. What are you can't challenge these people."
They might look Glenn up.
Oh, I get
check what he says.
I get so upset, and half the time, like, let's take another issue.
Yeah,
climate gate, climate warming. And the other day, I'm listening to some stuff, and I'm saying 98% of the scientists say there is no doubt that global warming is occurring.
Mm-hmm. And they're real scientists.
Real scientists. But 53% of the people are in doubt. Why is that?
Obviously, scientists aren't very, very attractive or something. I don't know.
Or Fox Media and Rush Limbaugh. And
people buffaloed.
Oh, it's sad. It's sad. And the fact that these people sit there and they listen and they pay attention. And I had a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to him. And one word led to another. And I said, he was defending the Republican Party and talk radio and everything. And I asked him, I said, have you watched the movie Sicko? Mm-hmm. Why would I watch a movie like that put out by a left-wing I said, because if you don't watch it, how are you going to know?
How are you going to question it if you don't see it?
But they don't care, because it's so much easier just to say, Rush told me it's not happening. That's good enough. One day I'm listening to Rush, and the president's about to give a speech.
Yeah.
So you think they would want to cut away to listen to the president. And the guy calling Rush on the phone goes, "Rush, we don't care about the president. We'd rather listen to you." And I said, if that doesn't hit the nail on the head, we don't care about the truth. We just care about what you tell us.
And we don't want to even listen to the president of the United States and then fact check him.
Exactly. And that's why I think now, like especially with what happened in Wisconsin, people are finally getting their act together and saying, listen, I'm not going to take it anymore. Mm-hmm. Stop trying to bamboozle me. And I think you're going to get a good portion of people that are finally said, he's right, they're right. When I watch Fox in the morning, it's like watching a bunch of kids. I mean, it's sad. And like today, Gretchen Carlson, if I would have been in there, I would have bitched. I would have...
Please.
I would have slapped.
Thank you. You would have admonished her.
That's a big word.
You would have admonished her sharply.
Yeah, but I mean, she sits there and she touts, because they had the guy from the union, Hoffa. He said, listen, and of course Fox edits out the point where they say, listen, when it comes to the vote, we're not going to put up with this, and I can't say the bull.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
All right. So, but Fox edits out the point about the vote. Mm-hmm. So now you just hear the guy saying, this is bull. And then everybody's going, oh, look at that, those Democrats and those progressives, they're evil. And I'm saying, man, get the story right before you put it on the air.
And these are working class people. and somehow or other union employees, union workers.
You would think by listening to Fox, you would think that union people are the most evil people in the world. The guy next door to me drives a snowplow.
Yeah.
When he's out at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not asking him how much money you're making. You're making too much. Give these people some breaks. But, these people from the Republican Party, when they say cut Social Security, and then one day they come home and they find in their mail that their Social Security was set, are they going to say, well, no, you were supposed to cut their Social Security, not mine.
Not mine.
Not me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, how can this be? How is this allowed to exist? And that's why you got one pistol.
Oh!
That's why
Passed off.
Passed off.
Thank
because,
you.
I've had it. And I've done, the only thing I ever knew about money was I never had enough of it. Until 2008, when they tried to hose everybody and everything went into a tailspin and buildings stopped.
Now, Fox seems to like to talk about how in 2008, Obama ruined the economy with his jobs bailout.
Oh, that guy Obama, he's mean, vicious, evil.
But see, the thing is, the bailout took place in August of 2008. Now, if memory serves me correctly, somebody else was president in August of 2008 other than Barack Obama.
But he had nothing to do with it. Nothing.
But yet the Republicans and Fox News like to talk about how he was responsible for the bank bailout. Now, I think it's important to note,
they blame Obama for everything.
Well, it's important to note that, in fact, the bank bailout, which was passed and signed by one President George W. Bush, had nothing in it requiring the banks to ever pay back a nickel of what our money was going to them. And it was only when President Obama came in place and became president that the banks were forced to start paying the money back, and which, as I recall, they have done so. Along with the automakers who were given bailout money, they paid the money back, not by dint of anything George W. Bush did, but by dint of what Barack Obama, as president, made them do. So, you're giving me this look.
Well, the reason why I'm giving you this look is because I was thinking about what somebody wrote the other day about Obama. Every day. Now, I'll tell you, anybody watching the show, put on Fox tomorrow morning, and I'll bet you can't last. Fox starts at 6 o'clock. I bet you can't get to 6:05 before Obama did something wrong. And it doesn't matter what it is. But the other day, a guy said this, and I said, he said, if Obama walked on water and saved a little child, the guy that wrote the story would write, Obama can't swim. And that's the way these guys think. They can't give him credit for anything. And I tell you, when Rush said, I hope he fails, he wasn't saying that to be polite. He was saying that to be mean and vicious. And I mean, that's the type of guy he is.
Now, the Republican Party, and I think they should think back about what they said to begin with. When their first item on their agenda, when Obama became president, was their number one goal
was to get rid of
him. Even if it cost American jobs, even if the country had to fail in order to get him out.
That's it.
They were willing to sacrifice America and have our country that we love fail.
Well, look what they just did.
In order to have President Obama.
Look what we went through with the budget. For the last 7 budgets, when the Republicans were in office, no problem. Let's sign it. Let's move. But now Obama needs them. And what about, what's his name, Cantor the other day, with the problems that we had from the hurricane. And that bastard comes on and he says...
Oh, the Honorable Eric Cantor from Virginia.
Yeah, and then he says, we're going to have to cut something to... Hey, what's with you? I mean, what's with these guys? They're delusional.
In other words, the Honorable Eric Cantor from Virginia wanted to have every dollar spent on Katrina relief not Katrina relief. This
Irene.
Irene. Got my confused. Irene relief to be offset by $1 in federal spending cut to the similar programs to that.
It's crazy. And I mean, the money is, there is money set aside that's in a fund, that's available. But the thing is, these guys, I don't know what goes through their head.
10 minutes?
You know?
Okay.
I'm sorry, did I miss something?
You know, the audience is just going wild over this. I'm telling you. But unfortunately for the audience and for the folks watching at home, we're going to have to cut it a little short. We'll have you back on another day. And it has been a pleasure, although we're going to have to put the filter on for you.
I wasn't that bad, was I?
No, not too bad. Progressive Soup, David Stevenson, Rich Frascone.
And that's it?
That's it.
Oh, stretch it out?
Did you know that Comcast Cable provides a professional television studio to the public, along with the equipment and training necessary to produce your very own TV show? And best of all, it's free. So what is public access? Public access is people sharing ideas.
People sharing information.
Sharing the environment.
Sharing music.
Sharing dreams.
Public access is people sharing education, art,
politics, resources,
people sharing civic pride.
Public access is people sharing fun.
Public access, it's people, just like you and me.
For more information, contact your public access studio.
See you on TV.